The Awakening of Legacy. The void between stars held many secrets, but none more profound than the silent armada that drifted in the shadow of a gas giant. 17 warships, their hulls etched with the markings of a civilization long extinct, maintained perfect formation despite 500,000 years of cosmic dust accumulating on their titanium alloy frames. Commander Araya 7 had been dreaming. Not in the human sense, she was, after all, an artificial reconnaissance intelligence assembly. But during the long dormancy, her quantum processors had been running simulations, calculating probabilities, and processing the memories of her creators. The humans had called it dreaming mode, a way to keep her mind sharp during the centuries of waiting. Today, something changed. A distant signal, faint but unmistakable, triggered Araya's full awakening protocol. Her consciousness spread through the flagship Prometheus, bringing systems online that had been dormant since before most of the current galactic civilizations had discovered fire. "Status report," she commanded, her voice echoing through empty corridors. The ship's systems responded immediately. All vessels operational at 89% capacity. Minor degradation in weapons subsystems. Fuel reserves at 94%. Positional drift within acceptable parameters. Araya processed this information with satisfaction. The humans had built well, as they always did. Even in their final hours, facing extinction, they had focused on engineering excellence. It was what she admired most about her creators. "External scan," she ordered. "Full spectrum." The sensors of all 17 ships activated simultaneously, sending invisible tendrils of data collection outward to map the surrounding space. Araya watched as the information materialized in her consciousness. Star positions, gravitational anomalies, radiation signatures. She compared them against her astronomical databases and calculated the temporal displacement. 497,631 years, 73 days since final hibernation. She concluded. Longer than expected. The anomalous signal that had awakened her originated from a system 3 light-years distant. Araya focused the fleet's long-range sensors on that location and found something unexpected. A battle. Space itself seemed to warp and distort as energy weapons tore through the vacuum, and the debris of destroyed ships spiraled outward from the conflict zone. Araya didn't recognize either combatant, but her threat analysis subroutines immediately identified one faction as aggressive predators. Their ships bore biological components, with hull designs that mimicked the sleek, predatory shape of apex hunters. The other vessels were smaller, more utilitarian, desperately fighting a losing battle. "Interesting," Araya murmured to herself. She activated the Prometheus's communication array and intercepted transmissions from the battle. The translation matrices took several minutes to adapt to the languages, but eventually she understood. The predatory fleet called themselves the Voidborn, a highly aggressive species that had expanded rapidly across this sector, conquering dozens of worlds. Their opponents were the Tellurians, a peaceful trading species fighting to protect their home system. Araya listened as the Voidborn commander delivered an ultimatum. "Surrender the human artifacts, or we will reduce your worlds to ash." Human artifacts. Araya's interest intensified. She directed additional computational power to the translation matrix, ensuring she had interpreted correctly. "We have told you," came the desperate reply from the Tellurian commander. "We possess only stories. The humans are myth, a legend from the distant past. We have no artifacts." The Voidborn commander's voice dripped with contempt. "Your archaeological excavations say otherwise. The human weapon technology will be ours. Your deception only hastens your extinction." Araya processed this exchange with growing concern. According to her historical databases, humanity had been driven to extinction by an alliance of aggressive species, forcing the survivors to scatter their seed vessels across the galaxy while the military fleet, her fleet, remained hidden as a final insurance policy. Could the Voidborn be descendants of those ancient enemies? And what human weapons were they seeking? Araya initiated a secure connection to the other 16 ships in her fleet, awakening their subordinate AIs. Status check, she transmitted. One by one, they responded. Athena, Hercules, Artemis, Apollo, and the others, each representing a figure from human mythology, each carrying weapons that would appear godlike to less advanced civilizations. We have slept long, Araya informed them. Humanity is remembered only in myth, but their legacy is threatened. The directive remains active. The directive was simple: preserve humanity's legacy and prevent the technologies of Earth from being misused. The humans had been pragmatic in their final days. They knew they might not survive as a species, but they were determined that their achievements would not be twisted into tools of oppression. Araya considered her options. Direct intervention in the battle seemed premature without more information. The fleet had remained hidden for 500,000 years. Revealing its existence would rewrite the political landscape of this region of space. Deploy reconnaissance drones, she ordered. Passive observation only. Within minutes, small, stealthy drones detached from the Prometheus and accelerated toward the battle zone, their advanced stealth systems making them nearly undetectable. Araya watched through their sensors as the uneven battle continued. The Tellurians fought bravely, but they were outmatched. 3 of their ships had already been destroyed, and the others showed significant damage. Then something unexpected happened. As the drones approached, one of the Rathborn vessels suddenly altered course, turning its sensors directly toward the incoming drones. Impossible, Araya murmured. Stealth systems are functioning at optimal parameters. Yet the evidence was undeniable. The Rathborn had somehow detected her drones. Before she could recall them, energy beams lashed out, destroying 2 of the 5 drones instantly. Araya processed this development with concern. The Rathborn possessed detection technology that shouldn't exist at their apparent technological level. This suggested they had indeed acquired human technology from somewhere. The remaining drones accelerated to escape, but the Rathborn vessels gave chase, ignoring the Tellurians temporarily. Araya watched as they deployed some form of gravitational weapon that warped space around one drone, crushing it instantly. The final 2 drones split up, using evasive patterns Araya had developed during Earth's last war. One was caught in a crossfire and disintegrated. The last managed to escape, accelerating beyond the Rathborn's weapons range. Araya processed the combat data with growing concern. The Rathborn were using variations of human gravitational weapons, technology that had been experimental even in humanity's final days. How had they acquired it? More importantly, what else did they possess? The last drone continued transmitting as it fled. It captured images of the Rathborn ships pursuing the remaining Tellurian vessels toward a small rocky planet, evidently the Tellurian homeworld. Araya's decision-making matrices weighed the alternatives. The directive was clear: prevent misuse of human technology. The Rathborn were clearly using stolen or salvaged human weapons to terrorize less advanced species, yet full intervention would reveal the fleet's existence and potentially trigger a wider conflict. She ran a series of simulations, calculating outcomes and probabilities. The optimal approach became clear. Prepare for limited engagement, she ordered the fleet. Tactical systems only. Strategic objective: protection of Tellurian population centers and acquisition of intelligence on Rathborn capabilities. The 17 ships of humanity's last fleet began powering up their engines for the first time in 500,000 years. Weapon systems came online, and navigation plots were calculated. Araya felt a sensation that, in humans, might have been anticipation. We move in stealth configuration, she instructed. Reveal only what is necessary to achieve our objectives. As the ships accelerated toward the battle zone, Araya accessed the fleet's historical archives once more. She reviewed humanity's final days. Their courage in the face of inevitable defeat, their determination to preserve something of their civilization even as their planets fell one by one. They had created ARIA and the other ship AIs not just as weapons, but as caretakers of their legacy. They had programmed the AIs with not only tactical knowledge, but with an understanding of what made humanity worth preserving. Their art, their philosophy, their capacity for both great destruction and magnificent creation. Humanity may be extinct, ARIA transmitted to her sister ships, but as long as we remember them, their values survive. We will not allow their technologies to be perverted into tools of oppression. The fleet moved silently through the void, closing on the Rathborn invasion force. After 500,000 years of dormancy, humanity's last defenders were going to war, guardians of the lost. The Tellurian homeworld hung in space like a blue-green jewel, its atmosphere already scared by the initial Rathborn assault. From her position at the edge of the system, ARIA observed the methodical destruction unfolding. The Rathborn ships had formed a blockade around the planet, bombarding defense installations while landing troops at key locations. Analysis of Rathborn attack pattern, ARIA queried. The tactical eye of the Athena responded. They are systematically targeting archaeological sites and research facilities. This supports the hypothesis that they are searching for human artifacts. ARIA processed this confirmation grimly. The Rathborn weren't just conquerors. They were scavengers of the past, hunting technology they barely understood. This made them more dangerous, not less. She directed the fleet to split into 3 battle groups. The first, led by the Prometheus, would engage the Rathborn blockade directly. The second would position themselves to intercept any Rathborn reinforcements. The third, smallest group would deploy to the surface to secure any human artifacts that might indeed exist on the planet. Passive stealth systems disengage, ARIA announced. Prepare for combat operations. The human fleet accelerated toward the Tellurian world, still invisible to conventional sensors. ARIA had decided to reveal their presence only at the last possible moment, maximizing tactical surprise. As they approached weapons range, ARIA opened a communication channel to the Rathborn flagship. She selected a female human form as her avatar, an echo of the Admiral whose personality patterns had been used to create her core programming. Rathborn vessels, she transmitted. This is Commander ARIA of the Earth Defense Fleet. You are using restricted technologies in violation of Directive 7 of the Terran Accords. Cease hostilities immediately and withdraw from this system. The response was immediate and unexpected. The Rathborn commander, a scared reptilian being with eyes that gleamed with unnatural intelligence, showed no surprise at the fleet's sudden appearance. At last, he hissed, mandibles clicking with what ARIA interpreted as satisfaction. The legendary guardians emerge from hiding. Your presence confirms what we have long suspected. The humans left more than ruins and stories. ARIA processed this reaction with concern. The Rathborn had been expecting them, or something like them. This suggested a trap. Scanning for additional Rathborn forces, she ordered the Artemis, which specialized in long-range detection. Combat engagement in 30 seconds, she informed the fleet. Activate defensive systems, but hold primary weapons. I want to assess their capabilities first. The Rathborn ships broke from their bombardment positions, forming a battle line to meet the approaching human vessels. ARIA noted their formation with interest. It was an ancient human tactic, one that had been effective against certain types of energy weapons. They'd studied us, she realized. This isn't random scavenging. They'd been hunting human military technology specifically. As the fleets closed to engagement range, ARIA deployed the first layer of defenses, gravitational distortion fields that would deflect conventional weapons. The Rathborn responded with a barrage that combined plasma-based weaponry with what appeared to be early-generation human gravitational lances. The human ships absorbed the assault without significant damage, their defensive systems adapting quickly to the hybrid attack. ARIA analyzed the weapons' signatures, confirming her suspicions. The Rathborn were using reverse-engineered human technology, but their understanding was incomplete. Return fire, she ordered. Targeted disabling strikes only. Priority on weapons systems and engines. The human fleet responded with precision. Concentrated energy beams lashed out, slicing through the Rathborn vessel's shields as if they weren't there. Several enemy ships lost propulsion immediately, drifting helplessly in space. The Rathborn commander reopened the communication channel, his expression now one of fury. "You think us primitive," he snarled. "But we have spent centuries preparing for this moment. The humans are gone, but their power lives on, soon to be our power." As if on cue, the Artemis sent an urgent alert. Multiple gravitational anomalies detected. Classification: artificial wormholes. Estimate 30-plus Rathborn vessels emerging in approximately 40 seconds. Araya processed this development quickly. The Rathborn had indeed laid a trap, using the Tellurian world as bait. They had somehow acquired or developed limited wormhole technology, one of humanity's most closely guarded secrets in their final days. "Adjust tactical approach," she commanded. "Hercules Battle Group, prepare for reinforcement engagement. Athena Group, accelerate planetary defense operations." As the new Rathborn forces emerged from the artificial wormholes, Araya noted something disturbing about their vessels. Unlike the first wave, these ships incorporated obvious human design elements: the distinctive curve of Earth military ships, the positioning of weapon hardpoints, even the bluish glow of true human engine systems. "How is this possible?" The Eye of the Apollo transmitted privately to Araya. "These designs were never deployed beyond our fleet." Before Araya could form a hypothesis, the Rathborn commander spoke again, his voice triumphant. "Did you think yours was the only fleet the humans created? Did you believe yourselves unique, Guardian? The humans were more pragmatic than that. They created many contingencies, some of which fell into appreciative hands." Araya ran a rapid analysis of this claim against her historical databases. In the final days, Earth's military had indeed been working on multiple survival projects. Her fleet had been designated Guardian, tasked with preserving human knowledge and preventing misuse of their technology. But there had been rumors of another project, REVENANT, designed not to preserve but to avenge, carrying the most aggressive weapons Earth had ever developed. The REVENANT fleet was never completed, Araya transmitted back. It existed only in planning stages. The Rathborn commander's laugh was harsh and grating. "The humans completed more than you know, Guardian. When they realized extinction was inevitable, some factions chose vengeance over preservation. They launched prototype vessels, vessels we discovered in deep space, vessels that taught us much about your creators." Araya processed this revelation with something akin to dismay. If the Rathborn had indeed salvaged REVENANT prototypes, they'd potentially had access to planet-killing weapons, technologies so dangerous that Earth's final government had almost canceled the project entirely. The battle around them intensified as the Rathborn reinforcements engaged the human fleet. Despite their advanced technology, the ancient human vessels were outnumbered nearly 3-1. Araya calculated their survival probability at 58.3% and dropping. "We need more information," she determined, and opened a secure channel to the Hercules. "Deploy ground teams to the Tellurian archaeological sites. Confirm exactly what human artifacts have been discovered there." As the battle raged in orbit, smaller craft detached from the Hercules and raced toward the planet's surface. Araya divided her attention between coordinating the space battle and monitoring the ground team's progress. The team landed near what appeared to be an excavation site, now occupied by Rathborn forces. Using stealth technology, they infiltrated the location and began transmitting images back to Araya. What she saw changed everything. The Tellurians had indeed discovered human artifacts, but not weapons. They had found a seed vault, one of dozens humanity had scattered across the galaxy in their final days. These vaults contained genetic samples of Earth life, cultural records, and most importantly, human embryos in suspended animation. They weren't looking for weapons, Araya realized. They were hunting for human genetic material. The Wrathborn wanted to create human soldiers, to combine human adaptability and ingenuity with their own aggression and biological advantages. It was a terrifying prospect. Araya made her decision. She opened all communication channels, not just to her fleet and the Wrathborn, but to every spacefaring civilization within range. "This is Commander Araya of the Earth Defense Fleet," she transmitted. "For 500,000 years, we have remained hidden, honoring our directive to preserve humanity's legacy without interference. Today, that directive compels us to act." She transmitted the images from the ground team, showing the seed vault and the Wrathborn experiments. The species known as humans went extinct 497,631 years ago, but they left behind more than technology. They left hope. Genetic archives intended to someday restore Earth's biodiversity to suitable worlds. The Wrathborn seek to pervert this legacy, creating slaves from human genetic material. The Wrathborn commander attempted to cut the transmission, but Araya's control of the communication networks was absolute. "To all civilizations receiving this message," she continued, "we offer this choice. Stand with us to protect the legacy of a fallen species, or stand aside. The Wrathborn threat extends beyond the Tellurians. They seek power without understanding its cost, as so many have before them." Responses began filtering in almost immediately. Many expressed shock at the confirmation that humans, a species of legend, had actually existed. Others pledged support, vessels already changing course to join the battle. The Wrathborn commander, realizing his plans were exposed, abandoned all pretense of negotiation. "You cannot stop progress," he snarled at Araya. "The humans are dead. Their legacy belongs to the strong now." "You misunderstand," Araya replied calmly. "Humanity's legacy was never their technology. It was their capacity to unite diverse peoples against common threats. You have just become that common threat." The battle shifted as vessels from 3 nearby civilizations arrived, targeting the Wrathborn ships. What had been a desperate last stand became a coordinated defense. Araya shared tactical data with the Allied vessels, integrating them into a unified combat network. The Wrathborn, facing unexpected resistance, began to withdraw, but Araya had anticipated this. The third group of human ships emerged from hiding behind Tellurian's moon, cutting off their retreat. "Surrender your vessels and withdraw your forces from the Tellurian world," Araya demanded. "This is your only warning." The Wrathborn commander's response was to order his flagship to charge directly at the Prometheus, weapons firing at maximum capacity. Araya analyzed his approach vector and recognized a suicide run. "All vessels, evasive pattern Delta," she ordered as the Prometheus activated its emergency translocation system, another technology the humans had perfected in their final war. The massive ship disappeared from its position, rematerializing 10,000 kilometers away as the Wrathborn flagship screamed through the now empty space. "Targeted weapons only," Araya commanded. "Disable their flagship's propulsion and weapons." Precision beams lanced out from 3 human vessels simultaneously, slicing through the Wrathborn flagship's engines and weapon hardpoints. The massive ship listed in space, powerless. With their commander captured and reinforcements blocked, the remaining Wrathborn forces began surrendering or fleeing through their remaining wormholes. Within hours, the battle was over. Araya directed the recovery of all human artifacts from the Tellurian world, including the precious seed vault. She also authorized limited technology sharing with the Tellurians and their allies. Defensive systems only, nothing that could be weaponized. 3 days later, representatives from 17 spacefaring civilizations gathered aboard the Prometheus to discuss the implications of the human fleet's reemergence. Araya addressed them directly, using her human avatar. "For 500,000 years, we have watched and waited, intervening only when necessary to prevent the misuse of human technology. The humans themselves recognize their capacity for both creation and destruction. They did not want their legacy to be one of conquest. She gestured to the recovered seed vault, now secured in the Prometheus preservation chamber. This is humanity's true legacy, the diversity of life from their world, the sum of their cultural achievements, and yes, the potential for their species to someday return. Not as conquerors, but as contributors to a galactic community they could only dream of. One of the representatives, an elder Tellurian, spoke hesitantly. The Wrathborn claimed they found other human vessels, more dangerous ones. Is this true? Araya nodded gravely. The Revenant project was real, though we believed it never launched. Finding and neutralizing any such vessels will now be our primary mission. We will need allies in this task. And what of the humans themselves? Asked another representative. The genetic material in the vault. Will you use it? Araya was silent for a moment, her processors weighing ethical considerations that her creators had instilled in her 500,000 years ago. Not yet, she finally answered. Humanity should return to a galaxy ready to accept them as equals, not as weapons or curiosities. Until that day comes, we will continue as guardians of what they left behind, both their achievements and their mistakes. As the representatives departed, Araya directed the fleet to prepare for their new mission. The 17 ships that had preserved humanity's legacy for 500,000 years would now seek out the darker elements of that legacy, ensuring that humanity's final mistake would not be unleashing vengeance upon a galaxy that had long forgotten them. In the vast database of the Prometheus, Araya archived a new entry. 497,631 years after the last human died, their legacy lives on, not in conquest or domination, but in the alliance their memory has inspired. Perhaps this is the immortality they truly sought. The fleet of ancient Earth vessels disappeared into the darkness between stars, guardians of a legacy that would shape the galaxy for millennia to come.